listening to Janine on The Community Show, and I am here with Jeff Mitchell from Clean Slate. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, how are you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
Great. So I have known about Clean Slate and worked with you guys for quite a while now, but for the people listening, they might not be clear on what it is that you do. So could you give us a bit of an overview?
We are helping people on low incomes to become better off in all the ways that we can. So we help people look at how they might stretch a limited budget and reorganise how they manage money. We help them find work or better work and help them get online in order to do those things, really. We also have a money skills project that we run called Quids In, and that publishes a quarterly magazine, monthly money emails. We've got an interactive website and a range of guides on things like claiming universal credit or keeping food on the table when times are tough. We have a range of things, but they're all geared towards helping people become better off.
And I'm guessing that's really quite important. You're probably seeing quite a lot of people coming to you right now in the current climate.
Yeah, definitely. With the cost of living crisis, I think there's never been more interest in what we're doing, but also during the pandemic as well, because so many people were hit financially. But yeah, we've been going since 2006 and really struggling to make the message get the message across that people need help with just general non-crisis support around their money. But it really came into focus during the pandemic and then a lot more since.
Yeah. So how did you come into being in 2006?
So I was previously managing director at The Big Issue, and I was looking at what the next step opportunities might be for not just homeless people, but all the groups that overlap with homelessness. So people who struggle with mental health or they may have been refugees before or been homeless. There are lots of sort of people that sort of cross over with the needs of homeless people on that front. And I just felt that, I've worked with thousands by then. I'd worked with thousands of homeless people who had proved that they weren't unemployable. They may have felt it and they may have been judged that way by employers and the public, but they were then putting in 7 or more hours a day. They might have slept rough and then got out and sold the magazine. And so I just came away with a real sense that there are lots of people there on the reject pile that could be in meaningful employment and actually having productive lives. And then that leads to lots of other benefits, so not only being financially better off, but sort of improves their well-being, gives them a sense of purpose. And so I set up Clean Slate as to create and support work opportunities for people facing barriers to employment. And then realised that actually there was a whole piece of work to be done on improving awareness and tackling financial exclusion, which I felt overlapped quite closely. And so strangely, I ended up with a sort of furthering a career that had on one side publishing and information sharing, and on the other side actually helping people into employment in order to get back on their own 2 feet and thrive within their own lives.
Yeah. And I think it's fair to say Clean Slate's grown from strength to strength since that point.
Yeah, it's not always been easy. And sometimes you talk to funders and commissioners and they say, well, why do people need help with their money? It's like we all struggle to work out how to spend wisely and save carefully. But I think what we started to do is make a real impression and raise understanding about the challenges people face, especially when they start from a low income.
Is Clean Slate a national organisation or local? Where is it covering?
We are a national organisation based in Bath.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so when we first started out, it was working sort of probably half and half between Bath and Bristol, but our registered office is in Bath. Our biggest operation is across the west of England, but we have national reach.
So what are the key things that you would say Clean Slate are working on at the moment?
So you won't be surprised to hear that it's all around the cost of living crisis. We are about to launch a campaign called Think Bigger Than Bills. So Anyone who looks up #ThinkBiggerThanBills will see some of the work that we're doing. And we're working with a number of partners. I looked this morning, it's about 50 organisations that have signed up to this campaign. And the message really is, we know that the energy costs for running a home are going through the roof. I feel like a lot of the media attention is on how to reduce those bills. But for people who are struggling most, just turning the heating down is not going to meet the need for people to be able to find thousands of extra pounds for their bills. So we're encouraging people to think more widely, to think about checking that they are receiving all the benefits they might be entitled to. There are £16 billion worth of unclaimed benefits at the moment. So there are plenty of people out there. 16 billion.
Wow.
Yeah. There is plenty for many people to access. We've got a calculator on the quidsinmagazine.com website that can help with that. For people who are not online, please get online, because you could be hundreds of pounds a year better off just being able to shop around, compare prices in 5 different supermarkets without even leaving, an armchair. Also looking at, switching insurance providers, for example. All of that can be done so much more easily online, and also getting advice. Some people are still reticent about going online, or they might use Facebook but don't explore what else they could do once they're on the internet. So there are hundreds of pounds to be saved that way. And then the third way is to look at all of their finances, for all of us to look at our finances in the round. And we've got a money health check quiz, really, the Future-Proof Finance quiz. Again, on the quidsinmagazine.com website. And that takes people through all the things that they might think about changing in order to be financially better off, and really looking at all the different ways to reduce spending, increase income, maybe get some savings together, and reduce any borrowing that people are forced into. So just to get as financially healthy as possible in order to tackle bills, because I don't think it can be done in isolation from everything else in a household budget.
Yeah. So it sounds like the Quidsin website is going to be a really useful tool for people over these coming few months.
Yeah, I hope so. We're doing everything we can to make it as useful as it can be. A lot of money guidance is a bit mystified, I think, and people feel a bit like, oh, that sounds amazing, but I don't understand what you just said. We try and actually make it really simple to understand.
So you've answered this question a little bit already, but how can people from the Somer Valley access what you do? So obviously they can, all of these things that you've talked about that are online, they can certainly access. Is there anything else that they might be able to access that you offer?
Yeah, so we've got Quidsin, which is our sort of money skills initiative, but Clean Slate is the organisation. And within Clean Slate, we deliver services to local people. It could be face-to-face on a drop-in basis, or it could be over the phone. We recognise that if we're encouraging and supporting people to get online, they're not online already. So directing them to a website is not ideal for those people, although people are very resourceful in getting somebody they know to look something up. But there is a phone number for the Bath and North East, Somerset and beyond area, which is 01225 302200. Get in touch. Register your interest in getting some help around finances or finding work, or getting online, and we will organise a call back. We've got some really good programs at the moment that can really help people, and we're finding that on average with people who get involved with a full program, they could be looking at financial gains of about £1,000 on average. Right. So it's worth getting involved. There's lots we can do. And it doesn't all mean travelling, to Central Bath. It's we're very able to reach out and do some really good work, even if that's over the phone or for those who can online.
You sort of said that you're seeing a lot of people kind of accessing your services a bit more through the pandemic, and now with the cost of living crisis. What is the impact that you're already seeing of the cost of living crisis, or is it more an anxiety about what's to come?
There is definitely a palpable anxiety, I think. And one of the things that I'm always worried about at this time of year, but even more so this year, is people's fear of bills. and fear of what's coming, feeling like I must turn everything off because I won't be able to afford things, the other side of Christmas. I think that anxiety is real. I think a lot of people are tightening their belts, even if they know they've got a bit of extra income each month. And I think that's going to have a knock-on effect as well with, in terms of sort of businesses, people going out and things like that, and having social contact after all this time through the pandemic of not having that social contact, and then to almost have people going into self-imposed lockdown because they're scared about their finances. I was shocked on a call the other day to hear that people are collecting firewood, to start using, open fireplaces rather than central heating, because they're scared about what's coming down the road. If ever we didn't need this right now, it's like people's mental health is definitely under attack. We're going to redo a survey that we did in 2018, and we were asking people on low incomes about how they were feeling about their finances and what impact it was making on their lives. And even back then, pre-pandemic, pre-war in Europe and pre-cost of living crisis, it was over, I think it was about 60% of people were saying that they felt frightened, anxious or depressed on account of their money worries. We can't just ignore this. When we talk about money worries and we talk about financial capability and money guidance, let's just remember what this is for. When people struggle to make ends meet, it kills people. They can't see an end to it. They feel they stop, they skip meals, they turn the heating off when they're cold, they feel desperately anxious about the future, and it impacts on their physical health. This is not a paper exercise to help people stretch a budget and feel better about things. It's actually directly related to their well-being. It's not abstract, but it's not discussed in public very often, or in policy, like with government. Just have to tighten our belts. It's like when you're already stretching a budget as far as it can go, then tightening your belt could be the tipping point.
Yeah. And on that note, what would your advice be to anyone listening who is struggling a little bit, or feeling like feeling that sense of anxiety that you talked about, that you're hearing on your calls already?
I think it's please get in touch. It could be get in touch with Clean Slate locally. It could be get in touch with another support organisation, because there is so much support available. There's no need to live in isolation. I think through the pandemic, we saw the impact of people being forced to live in isolation. And the worst thing about it is it makes people feel alone, and they're not alone. And there are people who can help.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff. I think we're really lucky to have Clean Slate here on our doorstep. So could you just remind us of the phone number and the web address quickly?
Sure. Okay. So Clean Slate website is cleanslatelltd.co.uk. Our phone number is 01225 302 200. And to look at the online stuff that people can do for themselves, if they do have digital access, go to quidsinmagazine.com.